Hey guys, I'm trying to approach my video game backlog, but I'm having an issue because there's 300 fucking games in there.
Hello everyone, this is Magbo Gaming here, back at Angry Guy's channel. I hope you're all doing well today. And we are going to touch upon the subject that is also about gaming. Yup, so we tend to be pretty overwhelmed with our backlogs today with modern gaming, having too many options these days, and yeah, we don't have time to play all these games in our lifetimes probably, and that's the sad thing. Before we die, there's probably going to be a lot of games that we will not be able to play, and we're going to wish that we could have played it, we could have made time for it. Is that it's so saturated, and back in the old days, there was not so much games you have to choose from, right? You were pretty limited to the games that you have as a kid, but when you become an adult, you got too many games and too little free time to be able to enjoy them all, right? So that's the topic of today's video, and we're gonna be going to a video from Franchise Player. But before we do, if you agree with videos like this, if you enjoy hearing about different opinions on modern gaming today, be sure to click the like button, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click the bell next to it so you could be notified whenever new videos from Angry Guy comes up to your notification feed, so you won't miss a single Angry Guy video ever again. And if you also want to check out Angry Guy at Rumble as well, there's that option. If you want to hear the unfiltered Angry Guy that curses like crazy, go ahead there. And if you also want to get into crypto and invest into the cryptocurrency market, be sure to check out the Angry Crypto Academy, and we could tell you exactly which cryptos to look into and make your decision if you want to invest on it. That can help you increase wealth, increase the assets in the future against the old digital future. You want to have digital assets that you own, right? Instead of digital stuff that you do not own. Anyways, let's get on to the video and let's see what this topic is all about, shall we?
Welcome back to Franchise Player, and today we're talking about modern gaming and almost the infinite, endless selection that modern gaming provides. And initially that sounds awesome, right? You're like, hey, I can play any game I want whenever I want, right? Whether that's through a subscription service like Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, the Nintendo eShop, emulating games, and that sounds great, but I actually think having this much access to this amount of games at any time almost instantly actually does more harm than good. So today we'll go into...
Yeah, think of it this way. It's like comparing you doom scrolling in social media, that you're just scrolling through selections, scrolling through posts, scrolling through streaming services where you wonder which movies you're gonna watch, and you're just there scrolling, wondering which one's good, and then you finally decide which one you're gonna be able to watch that deserves your time. It's the same thing with these gaming subscriptions as well. As a matter of fact, one of my latest videos on my channel talks about having a physical collection over a digital subscription. So if you want more aspect on that, you could check out my channel at Magbo Gaming below about that. So yeah, so that's the thing as well, guys. Let's continue and see what other perspective we have on this. Because if we have too many options, it'll be hard for us to be able to choose all the ones that we want. We're just overwhelmed.
kind of where modern gaming sits, all these subscription services, the storefronts, how these things actually, I think, have made gaming a little worse. If you'd have told me this was the case, you know, back when I was a kid, I would have been like, wow, that's pretty sick, right? You can play any game whenever you want. It's not as good as it might seem. And a lot of media has gone that way, whether it's music with Spotify and Apple Music, Netflix, HBO Max, all these services, I think have actually done more harm than good. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about some video games. So with modern gaming, whether it's the PS5, the Series X, the Switch 2, the Steam Deck, or if you're just straight up on a PC or some kind of emulation handheld, we have more options than ever. And on one hand, it's incredible, right? You have endless amounts of video games you can play whenever you want. But on the flip side of that, I think it's a huge con, because with the PS5, the Xbox, Nintendo, whatever, they all have some kind of service now, whether it's Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation with PlayStation Plus, and then there's Nintendo with Nintendo Online, right? The service they have, which I think is actually probably the least bad out of all these in terms of like what they're trying to throw at you. But the reason why I'm not a huge fan of these services overall, and just kind of where modern gaming's at in general, is a lot of these services are really almost making it feel like it's Netflix, HBO Max, Spotify, some kind of streaming service, where it's like, with those services, you've probably been there, I've been there a ton of times, dude, where it's like you're trying to pick something to watch, you end up scrolling for 20 minutes and just kind of saying, screw it, and it ended up turning it off, or like scrolling on your phone, or picking something you've watched 1,000 times just to actually stop scrolling and watch something. And I feel like gaming is kind of in that same place, like especially.
Yeah, so you get overwhelmed with all the choices you have. And this is why I'm also going to be making a short very soon on how you could handle your backlog, how you can limit the choices you have in random choices. So yeah, I have a little surprise about that. Maybe that will reach a lot of people since it's gonna be a shorts. I'm just saying a little solution for those that feels overwhelmed by the game choices that they have today, but you don't have to always subject yourself to that. Me personally, I just want to focus on my backlog of physical games right now, and not even subscribe to any of those subscription-based streaming video game services like that PlayStation thing that they have where you could stream PS4 games, PS3 games, and PS2 games, and maybe PS1. The thing is that you will own none of those games in a subscription-based service. And yeah, even if you do own a big backlog of game, that's also an issue as well, because you're gonna be overwhelmed like me. If you see my game collection, you would know. Like, I own over 600, almost 700 games in my collection. And of course, I have to accept the fact that by the time I'm dead, I will not have time to play every single one of them fully. That's a fact. I already accepted that fact, honestly. And it is like, well, I'll get to the games that I could. I'll get to the games I really like. And hopefully, eventually, before I die, I will get to each and every one of those games, or almost every one of those games, right? You always tell yourself that, right? But in order for you to have time for you to be able to play all these games, you're going to have a lot more free time. Your time cannot belong to the government. Your time cannot belong to these corporations. Your time must be yours to control. And you got to feel like you earn the control. So what is one way you could actually have more time to play your backlog? Well, doing some good crypto investing will definitely help in the long term. If you invest in the ones that are actually going to increase your asset value in the long term for your retirement and stuff, for your early retirement perhaps. Yeah, check out the Angry Crypto Academy. Maybe that will help you in some ways. Take it away, Angry.
Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
Hey guys, I'm trying to approach my video game backlog, but I'm having an issue because there's 300 fucking games in there. Video games are a bit of an interesting media. They are the only media that requires so much consistent attention, or else you're just going to put it down and never play it again. I promise you that's going to happen. In a video game collector's backlog, there are often franchises full of a bunch of different types of gameplay styles, and the games themselves are so massive you don't really know where to start. And so eventually you just get put off by the entire franchise as a whole because you're not sure how the fuck what do I do with this? Maybe there's franchises you got to just a little bit late, like God of War 3. I hear this is arguably the best God of War game. Now, I just beat God of War Ragnarok earlier this year. You all know it. I said it's arguably a top 10 video game of all time. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. So now I want to play God of War 3, but I don't know. I've played it before. I didn't beat it. I got about an hour through, and what I played of that hour, I heavily preferred what I played from Ragnarok and 4 in 2018. Then we've got games in the backlog that are in the backlog because you know how the game plays out. Oh my god, why the fuck is there so much backtracking? Jesus Christ. And there's bullshit you've been playing for 15 years and you still can't beat because it's fucking bullshit. Then there are critically acclaimed games that are maybe hidden gems that you want to get into because you want to get into not only the console they're on, it's like a Saturn for me personally, but also the genre of game. A turn-based JRPG. Then there's just random shit. There's just random fucking shit. You're like, well, I'm definitely going to play this one day. Then we've got new games, which I think are I don't know, they're always like the outlier in the backlog because you buy them, you play them initially because you just got them, and then you put them down. But as soon as you put them down, I'm telling you, it will take you so fucking long to return to them. Now, I'd never do that to my baby right here. But I've done it to other games on the Switch, like any Pokemon game. Fuck those games.
And now let's get back to the video and see what else this guy has to say.
If you're not a physical game collector, there's just too many options out there. And that used to not be a problem back in the day. I would say pre-7th gen, right? So pre-PS3 and 360. I know that's getting a little older if like you're a younger gamer. Those were times where you kind of played whatever you had, right? Whether it was a game you got for your birthday, something you picked up at a GameStop, like you studied that game, you knew everything about it, and you enjoyed it from front to back. When I was a kid, I didn't have like hundreds of games. Like I had a handful that I'd usually get every year. Or maybe I'd go and like wash cars in my neighborhood or, do a lemonade stand to go and buy a game. I actually did that, by the way. I would have, I'd sell lemonade out of a lemonade stand and go and buy like Game Boy games. But nowadays, there's just so many options at your fingertips whenever you want it. And like I said, on one end of the spectrum, it's incredible, but it leads to this, I think, analysis paralysis and basically just scrolling forever and trying to figure out what to play.
Yeah, and also the choice paralysis because you see, oh my god, there is like tons and tons of games I really want to play. But you gotta think, do you even have time to play all these games? To dedicate your time and your efforts and your mind in order to study this game well so you can beat it? Unfortunately, like I said earlier, not a lot of people has time for that. And then you're gonna have to make some sacrifices wondering, which is the best games I really want to play? And don't get me started if you want to get into games like Fortnite, Minecraft, or any of those other free-to-play games out there where basically those kinds of games are designed to take a lot of your attention away. So if you start playing those online type of games, how are you going to have time to play your backlog? You need to have a lot of free time for that, honestly. So when you have very limited choices out there, you tend to appreciate the games even more because you only have this many games here, and once you're done with the game, yeah, you'll be more motivated to buy one new game that you actually want to play, and then don't mind the rest of them because it's just air up for you. Honestly, they're just air. It's just like empty air out there. Just focus on what you really want. Narrow it down to what games you really want to focus on. That's my advice to you. Let's continue.
So many sales, midnight releases are no longer a thing really, right? Where people are waiting outside of a store like, hey, you just pre-download it and then as soon as it hits midnight, you're good to go and can play it. So I don't know, gaming is in a very strange place that there's just so much out there. The market is so flooded. You can never really be bored on one hand, right? But I think a lot of people end up being bored just due to the amount of the selection they have and not being able to ever pick anything to play. Another huge issue with this, rather than just scrolling forever and not being able to find anything to play, is having a huge backlog, whether it's a huge digital backlog of games, a physical backlog of games. It's just, there's so many options out there where, kind of like I just mentioned, when you were a kid or maybe when you were younger or growing up, you probably didn't have a ton of games. So you really like honed in on the games you had, knew everything about them. If you maybe were able to stumble upon a strategy guide, you'd dig into a game a bit deeper. But now I feel like with having so many choices out there, it's like someone might download a game, buy a game, play it for like half an hour.
Okay, and you know what I'm doing right now to make sure I keep my mind focused on just certain games? Basically every 3 months. And you could take my idea, and this is more or less how am I going to do my shorts as well. So you can have an idea on what to expect from my channel when I upload that type of video later this week or next week. I tend to choose 2 games from my entire collection, 2 games only, that I want to focus on fully. I want to lock onto it. I want to completely learn about the game and want to do research on the game so I can actually fully enjoy it and forget about every other games in my collection at that moment. So you get the 2 games, right? I did the rotation back in September, and those 2 games are the only games that I've played. But then I decide like every 2 weeks, I would pick a random game from my little box. You're gonna see right now what I mean by that. Yeah, that little metal box that I have a bunch of paper in it. And what are in those paper? Names of each games that I have in my collection. So if I choose a game out there that I want to play, whatever game shows up, I have to add it to the roster. So that means not only do I have to focus on those 2 games, but I could focus on one more game every other day. Because the 2 games I chose in the beginning are the main games that are playing. But the random games that comes up are games that are in the backlog for after I play the game, or to play at certain days of the week so I could enjoy those other games like casually. But yeah, you could definitely do it like that. Every 2 weeks you pick a new one, and if you want to play something new, then that's the one you're gonna play. And of course, sometimes if I have a new game I want to pick up at the moment, maybe sometimes I'll decide to add that to my roster as well. And for 3 months, that's the roster I'm gonna be playing. Only those very few selection of games. Everything else are not gonna be touched. I'm not gonna think about it. It's just part of my collection. And then maybe later, some of those games over there, outside of it, I could choose my own. So that's the little idea I want to give you guys. You can make a bunch of paper, cut it down with scissors, and mix it up together and pick it out randomly. Or just use an app to random choose your freaking games. But more information on that upcoming short. So yeah, conclusion on this whole thing. Well, basically, if you want to watch the rest of the video from this guy called Franchise Player, the link to his videos in the description below, and his channel as well. You could check out the rest of the video so you could know more perspective on this. But all in all, yeah, we don't have time to be overwhelmed with all these games and just paying a subscription to have access to something that you may not have time to play. So you're just wasting money monthly there. I would much rather spend money on a single game that I could keep forever until I die or if a natural disaster hits, than to keep paying monthly for subscription to have access to so many games but I don't have time to play them. And you feel pressure to play those primarily so you can make your $30 a month worth it. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass, $30 a month for the highest tier. Crazy. Anyways, that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed this type of content and you agree to it fully, be sure to click the like button. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Click the bell next to it so you can be notified whenever Angry Guy uploads new videos on his channel through your notification feeds. And you will not miss any more videos like that ever again. Check out his Rumble as well at Angry Guy so you can hear the unfiltered version of him. And also, not just that, but for Angry's Crypto Academy as well, if you're interested in learning how to invest in crypto and get ready to combat against the old digital future and own assets that you actually own and increase in value, instead of being in a digital future where you will own nothing and be happy. That's all I have to say. You can check out my channel at Magbo Gaming as well in the description below. Yep, especially those new videos that I have been planned to put up, especially my game hunting video I plan to put up later this week. I hope that you enjoy what you see. If you like to see gaming videos like this from me, now you know what to do. Anyways, that's all I have to say. I'll see you all in the next one, and take care. Peace. Magbo out.